Glide apps live on the internet, so they all have URLs. A URL is just a web address and is made up of three main parts: a protocol, like HTTPS, a domain, like glideapps.com, and then the path or the page, which is everything after the slash. And some URLs also have subdomains, which appear before the main domain, like learn.glideapps.com. Published Glide apps are automatically hosted at a glide.page address. You can customize this domain right in the Glide builder by changing the subdomain, so long as it's available. But with a paid Glide plan, you can use your own custom domain instead. This allows you to change the URL entirely to whatever address that you want. Instead of yourapp.glide.page, you could use your organization's existing domain or create a new one specifically for your app. To configure a custom domain, you first need to own a domain. There are many places to purchase one, but in this video, we're going to be using Cloudflare. If your organization already has a domain that it's using or that you want to use for something else, then you'll need to set up a subdomain for your Glide app. For example, if you work at acme.com, you might want to create a subdomain like app.acme.com and put your app there. Alternatively, you can buy an entirely separate domain like acme.app and then host the new app there. If you have an IT admin, we recommend contacting them for help setting up your domain. However, in the next sections of this video, we'll walk you through the whole process. Throughout this tutorial, we will be dealing with records. Records are simply instructions kept in a database associated with your domain. When someone types in your domain, these instructions tell the internet and the browser information about your domain and where to take the user. A record really only has three parts: the type, the name, and the data. Confusingly, these are often called different things by different platforms and are also listed in different orders sometimes. Regardless of the names you see, you can usually work out what's going on if you think of it as each record having first a type, like a record, CNAME record, or text record, and then a key value pair. For example, here in Cloudflare, after we add an A record, we see two fields: name and IPv4 address. If we change to CNAME, we see name and target, and text, we see name and content. If you try to simplify the way that you think of records as just a type with a key value pair, then you're less likely to be confused regardless of the way that your DNS provider names them. Before you can configure your custom domain, you first have to publish your app. Once you do this, the publish button will change to a share button. And here you can access the domain settings and either adjust the Glide hosted domain or enter the custom domain wizard. First, enter the custom domain that you want to use for your app, and the setup wizard will then automatically generate DNS records for you to add to your domain. Now, where you do this in your DNS provider will look different if you're not using Cloudflare, but there will typically be an area specifically for DNS settings for your domain. Once you've found this area, just look for a place where you can add new records. It's important to add the record information exactly as it appears in the Glide custom domain settings. If you're setting up a subdomain, you should see two records: a text record and a CNAME record. And if you're setting up a normal domain, then you'll also see two records: a text record and an A record. Now, you may also see an additional CAA record depending on your DNS settings. Whatever you see, all of these records should be added in your DNS provider's settings. After you've created these DNS records, select Continue to go to step 3 in the setup screen. Please bear in mind here that the changes that you make during this process take time to propagate. In other words, after you've configured your DNS, you may need to go away for a few hours and come back before Glide actually recognizes that you've configured it properly. This can take as long as 24 hours, depending on your provider. Glide will then automatically verify the custom domain information, and if anything is incorrect, it will show in red. You can hover over these information tooltips to see more details about what the error is. After you've made the changes, you can select Verify to check your setup again. When the connection is working, small green check marks will appear next to the records, and you can select Done to close the setup wizard.